Scientists have expressed concern that the SARS-CoV-2 variant of interest discovered in the country has been associated with increased transmissibility, neutralisation, resistance and disease severity. Joining us now to discuss just how dangerous this new variant of interest is a senior medical scientist at the National Institute for Communicable Diseases, Dr. Cathrine Scheepers. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Scheepers. Good to have you with us today. So tell us about this new variant. What do we know about it? There's some reports that says it's highly transmissible, that it is resistant to being neutralized. And in other quarters, we're finding information that somehow seems to contradict that. What exactly are the facts here?
Hi, thank you very much for having me on. I thought I would start by maybe talking about some of the terminology that we use, because that can be quite confusing. So when we talk about a variant, it really just means that it's a different version of the virus. So you can kind of think of this in some ways like computer software. Every now and then you have to upgrade your software to a different version 2.0 or whatever it might be. So these different versions of the software have new features, or some features that we've seen before and we know what they do, and it has some new features that we don't know what they do. And so this variant really is just a different version of the virus. We've seen some features. When we talk about features, I mean mutations. So we see some mutations that we have already seen in other versions of this virus, and so we know what they do, and this is what you were alluding to about increased transmissibility and increased or reduced antibody responses. But it's important to note really that viruses mutate all the time. This is not an unusual thing. It's common to all viruses. And so sometimes those mutations give the virus an added benefit. So increased transmissibility is one of these benefits. But a lot of the time, these mutations do nothing. And in some cases, they actually weaken the virus. So,
how does this particular variant react to the vaccinations that we currently have? I guess the ones that we're administering now in the country, Johnson & Johnson, as well as Pfizer.
Thank you. So some of the mutations that we know are results in reduced antibody responses to the vaccines that you mentioned are seen in this particular virus. But we don't yet know whether this virus is going to respond in the same way as we have seen in other viruses. So it's important to understand that while we see new mutations, that these mutations all work together in the virus, and sometimes they can cancel each other out. So it's not always clear that when you see a mutation that is associated with reduced antibody responses to a particular vaccine, that this will be the case. It might be, but this is something that we're working on. We don't currently know, but we are actively working on this right now in the lab, and we will hope to have responses or results for that.
I understand that it's still very days. A lot of research is still happening and taking place, but as it stands now, do South Africans have a reason to panic or not?
Absolutely not. So this virus has been detected at very, very low levels in South Africa. It accounts for less than 2% of all the viruses that are circulating, with Delta being a predominant virus circulating in South Africa. We're right now, so the numbers are very low, so that's the main thing. We also don't know whether it's actually going to result in increased transmissibility or reduced antibody responses. We are working on that. So I think maybe it's important to also talk about, the differences between variants under investigation, variants of interest, variants of concern. These are classifications that we use to know how to respond to different variants, because as I say, viruses mutate all the time. So this variant right now is classified as a variant under investigation. All that means is that scientists like the Network for Genomic Surveillance in South Africa and others around the world are monitoring this virus because it shares some common mutations. So we're looking to see, is it going to increase in numbers beyond what we see right now, or is it associated with other things like increased transmissibility? But right now it does not classify, or it does not qualify to classify classify as a variant of interest or a variant of concern.
So I guess South Africans can breathe a sigh of relief based on what Dr. Scheepers has told us now. Still early days, still a lot of research to be done. Thank you very much, Dr. Cathrine Scheepers. She is a senior medical scientist at the National Institute for Communicable Diseases. Thank you.